Coming? Oh my gosh. No, you're fine. You're fine.
Baba, no!
Hey! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Move! Put the knife down! Put the knife down!
Today's video takes us to Queens, New York. In most breakdowns, we usually define what is lawful and what is not. But we're here to dig a little deeper than that, to invoke thought and to create a conversation. I'm Sean Tyree. Welcome to Vest Life.
Since I've been watching videos, I don't stand by the door no more, bro. How you doing?
Are you cold? You
Huh?
cold?
Yes.
You coming? Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Baba, no!
Hey! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife. Move! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Shots fired!
So by this time, I'm sure a lot of us are already familiar with this viral video where officers responded to a mental emotional call, and upon entering the house, immediately the person that was having a mental emotional episode grabbed a butcher knife and started coming towards the officer, where the officer tried to make space and he ended up shooting the person. All right. But this breakdown is going to be a little different because it's not necessarily for the tactics that was used, because the officer technically did everything correct. And I don't know if you remember hearing him at the beginning of the video where he says, "Hey, I watched too many videos. Let me back up." That's awesome. Now the term Monday morning quarterbacking is becoming a loose term and less taboo than it should have been, right? Because you're dealing with a lot of people. Everybody doesn't like being critiqued, especially in this type of field in law enforcement, right? You deal with a lot of people that are A-type personalities and they hate being critiqued. And I can throw myself in there. It's hard being critiqued, but being critiqued is what makes you better. It makes you safer. So this is something that I started doing when I became a supervisor. I would show videos to my squad and we would break it down, we would critique it, and it actually made you better all around. And it made the officers better because now it created thought. It made them think about certain situations differently. That's growth. So with the use of body cameras, why not use it to your advantage? So that's the reason why you see these videos and how I break it down, how I critique it. And I'm not the only one. I'm sure there are a vast number of other people, officers that do the same thing that I'm doing right now. But this isn't about the tactics, right? To me, he did the perfect thing of trying to separate himself. Unfortunately, he had to use his firearm well within his right to do so because you have to protect your life. But this is more information for those that understand as far as what the Mayor Mondani was talking about as far as co-response. And it's terrible, right? You're like, hey, he didn't give the law enforcement any love.
Have a look at this.
I spoke with the Chakraborty family and I visited Chavez in the hospital. And there is no family should have to endure this kind of pain.
I'm sorry, what?
But you know what? I'm not concerned with that because you're going to have people that love you, have people that hate you, political wise, non-political. If you work through situations where an incident happened in one state, had nothing to do with the other, but yet you still reap the repercussions of what happened, being condemned, by this time, officers are used to it. If you get support, that's more of a surprise than not getting support. But right now, we're going to focus on the co-response, what he's talking about. I know a lot of people have their concerns about the mental health professionals, but they do serve a purpose. Believe it or like it or not, they do serve a purpose. And with this type of situation, everything happens so fast. I don't believe it would have, even having a mental health professional there, it wouldn't have mattered because he was already triggered. Now, what agencies could do or should do, right? If you already have history, from what I'm understanding of the Mondani's information, saying that there's a long-standing history of schizophrenia at this address where this person had to be taken to the hospital. Now, what should have happened? There should be a red notice or a notice at this address for that simple reason. There's a person that has mental emotional instabilities at this address. That way there's a asterisk or a notification. So it prompts officers what to expect when they get there. And by prompting, if they're having or going through an episode, Getting to the address, right? Soon as the mother or the parent or whoever else, guardian, answers the door, questions you can already have prepared. How is their mental state at this moment? All right. Are they going through a crisis? And how do they react, or how would they respond to seeing law enforcement? Those two questions would have been beneficial, and it would have prompted the mother, oh, hey, he or she don't respond to law enforcement well. Now officers know, all right, I'm going to hang back. We'll wait for aid to arrive. We're not going to respond just yet. Those type of questions, but those type of questions only form if you are familiar or you deal with a lot of mental emotional people, right? And I know people say the mom is blaming law enforcement. You have to understand, law enforcement is always going to get the blame. We're damn near like Trump right now. You're going to get blamed for everything, whether you do something right, whether you do something wrong. You can't win for losing. All right, so no need to get emotional about that. Only thing you can do is just power through it and then hope that the situations eventually change. But this is where the honest conversation, this is why I'm having honest conversations with you. So even prompting the mother with that, all right, or even dispatch, how is mental emotional state? What is his response going to be if he sees law enforcement? And granted, bigger agencies, they have 1,000 calls. Dispatch may not know or understand to ask those questions or prompted to ask those questions because they deal with X amount of calls on a daily basis, especially with larger agencies. So the onus, if you have that notice on the officers to be advised of that notification at this address, and in that way they know or they're prompted to ask the question. So now we're going to the purpose of the mental health professional. When I say they do serve a purpose, something like this, when it's actively going on, even if they're a co-response, one, that's an extra duty for the officer because you're responsible for a MHP or mental health professional safety. And if he had this knife, I'll tell you right now, I don't, whatever state that believes that mental health professionals are going to be superheroes, that's not the case. All right. They're human beings. They will not, or they do not want to die. Same thing with paramedics or EMS. If they know there's a safety risk, they're not going to go in. They will wait for law enforcement to get there. So if a mental health professional is there by themselves, if they grum and grab that knife, they don't want to get stabbed. I can guarantee you they're going to want to wait, or they're going to want to have an officer there. So if it was a co-response, even with the mental health professional there, if he's charging with the knife, the natural response, a mental health professional not going to stand in front of the officer. No, they're going to go behind the officer because that's their shield, and the shooting would have happened anyway. That's just my honest opinion. And understanding human nature and self-preservation, that's what's going to happen, hands down. Now, where it's important for the mental health professional is when a call is not active, right? So a mother or a parent can call the mental health professional, and now they can get resources on where they can take their son or daughter and which hospital, treatment programs. That's where MHPs come in handy because that's not equipped. That officers aren't equipped for that. They can give information, but as far as long-standing conversations, that's not possible, especially for patrol, right? They're going to end up going, they have too many calls to go to, especially in large cities. So MHP, if they're not already being swamped, because they're essentially like caseworkers, if they have time, they can provide the resources that the caller, meaning the mother or the parent or guardian of the person with the mental emotional situation, they can give them resources and information on where to go and how long treatment will take, or they can get them in treatment much faster than just transporting to the hospital. So there is some truth, right? There's some truth about not wanting to criminalize the person that's going through a mental health crisis. But where they get it wrong is law enforcement's response is not there to go and handcuff the person. Guaranteed, the goal was to respond. There's a disturbance or a mental emotional. They're going to get responded there, see what the situation is, and then call for an ambulance, right? Or how is New York? I'm pretty sure they call for an ambulance, right? So they call and get this person transported to the hospital. But the downside, again, as I reiterate, is not having a notification or the address flagged so that way they can prompt themselves in preparation. So I hope this kind of answers some people's confusion on the use of mental health professionals. Like I said, they are truly beneficial at times, right? Gathering, giving, and providing information. In an active call, they're not going to jump in front of the law enforcement officer in order to stop the person that's charging at them with an edged weapon. They are going to go behind. And now that we got that covered. And another thing, I know people are concerned, oh, Mondani, he's not going to visit the officer, or he didn't talk about the officer. Why would you even think that? At this point in time, in terms of law enforcement, the love they get, the love they don't, the states that provide the love versus the states that don't, you already know. Not to be too political, but the states that do provide love for law enforcement and the states that don't, it's kind of self-explanatory. So with that being said, if you're law enforcement of old, or law enforcement of new, or even the general public, if you learn anything from this video, drop a like and a comment below. And like always, Jesus is the light of the way.